Hi, I'm Jesse Waters in for Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching this special edition of The Factor, President Trump, the first month. Let's get right to our top story, Donald Trump versus the establishment. The relationship is in full meltdown following his first solo press conference yesterday, where President Trump took the press to task.
Look, I want to see an honest press. But I started off today by saying that it's so important to the public to get an honest press. The public doesn't believe you people anymore. Now, maybe I had something to do with that. I don't know. But they don't believe you.
The mainstream media was defensive and dismissive.
I don't think he's mad at the media.
You don't?
I think he's mad at not being boss anymore.
He's very entertaining, and I fear that a lot of Americans are getting addicted to him. I fear that we in the media, and I don't exclude myself, are getting addicted to writing about him because it's just so easy to do, number one. And so he's got his entertainment value.
While the media and other elites hyperventilated, supporters of President Trump could not have been happier.
This was one of the most effective press conferences I've ever seen. The press is going to hate him even more after this. Don't misunderstand. When I say effective, I'm talking about rallying people who voted for him to stay with him.
Joining us now with a reaction from Washington, Ashley Pratt, a conservative commentator and U.S. News and World Report contributor. And here in studio, radio talk show host Mike Gallagher. So, Mike, remember during the campaign when everyone says, let Trump be Trump, and they kind of let him do his thing, and he ended up winning. That was the Trump who won. And that's what we saw yesterday, the campaigner Trump. So now the media's come out and they've said this is not an effective Donald Trump, but that was the Trump that won. So I still think the media is missing the boat on this guy.
Everything that got Donald Trump elected was on display yesterday. And if any of these elitists think that average, hardworking, normal Americans give a rat's rear end about the media being tweaked by President Trump, they ought to take a long, hard look in the mirror and realize they are pitifully and wildly out of touch with what's reality. What's reality is that's the President Trump that voters and Americans expect. The best is yet to come. He's had a really good month. He had some highlights
this week.
It gets better
than this?
Oh,
he's going to be even more
we're in for a ride.
Towards the press?
We're in for a ride.
Well, it looks like we are because he just tweeted out something I want to show the audience here. We have it up for you. He says, the fake news media, failing New York Times, NBC News, ABC, CBS, CNN, is not my enemy. It is the enemy of the American people. So, Ashley, it looks like he's trying to do is align himself with the American people and really drive a wedge between the press and the rest of the country. He pretty much did that the other day during the press conference. Do you agree with that or not?
The press, which has a job to report, it is their responsibility to report, to get news to the American people. And look, I believe the mainstream media, I as a conservative have for many years been critical of them, and they deserve that criticism. But at the same time, it is their duty to report the news. And the decorum the other day, it was lacking. He is no longer a candidate. He is the President of the United States, and he needs to act like that. The journalists there were just doing their job and asking questions.
Ashley,
it wasn't a combative atmosphere until he made it one.
With all due respect,
that is problematic.
Ashley.
No. Let me finish.
Let her finish.
It was Thomas Jefferson, who is by all means regarded by the conservative movement, who had said our greatest liberty is the freedom of the press, and that liberty could die without it. So I think we should heed the wise words of one of our nation's founders, don't you think?
The only thing I would say to that, and then we can get to Michael, is the American people did not elect Thomas Jefferson. If they wanted to elect a guy that was all about decorum, they would have elected Mitt Romney. But they wanted a renegade, and they got a renegade.
Also didn't vote for him as well, and we have to realize that. The ones marching down Washington.
Hold on, Ashley, let Mike get in.
The problem, Ashley, and I don't mean this to be personal, but you're a never-Trumper. You've been against...
Of course, you still are. And he can prove me wrong, but he needs to be held accountable.
At the end of the day, you guys who were opposed to Donald Trump are still anguished that he won to a person, self-described conservatives or Republicans who were critical of yesterday's epic press conference are never Trumpers. You guys have been continually against the guy. You want him to fail.
Mike, let her finish. Ashley, do you agree with the point that maybe you have not yet accepted the fact that Donald Trump, this Donald Trump, is president, and this is the way he's going to behave towards the press for the next 4 years at least? eventually we're going to have to get used to this, right?
Look, Obama won. I was not thrilled about that, but guess what? You can complain all you want. You can disagree with policy all you want, and we did when conservatives were shut out or mocked during press conferences by Josh Earnest. But guess what? We can't be hypocritical and be doing the same thing over the next 4 years.
There's none.
Because calling out CNN as fake news and saying, I don't watch you, you're this, you're that, and all these other things is just absolutely absurd, because when Obama did it, conservatives railed against him. I was one of them. So to stand there and say that this is okay is absolutely ridiculous. Let me finish one more thing. As a never-Trumper, yes, I was conservative and concerned because of the fact that he said many concerning things. Yes, he got great talking points, and I'm glad that he won because he proved me wrong. But at the end of the day, he has a chance to prove me wrong again by being a good president. But what he did the other day was very, very unpresidential.
Ashley, the thing that I would say to you, comparing President Obama to President Trump with the way he treats the press,
which we were all upset about. I can agree on that, I think.
reporting fake news stories, then President Obama would be within every one of his rights to call it like he sees it. Now, I believe CNN and a lot of the other mainstream media, let me finish, I believe a lot of the other mainstream media are reporting fake news stories, whether it's the MLK bust, whether it's the dossier that Russia allegedly had on him, whether it's this new thing where the intelligence apparatus is not telling him certain intelligence and withholding that.
But what about when people in his own administration are leaking information?
Look at
let Mike now.
Breitbart is running stories against previous.
Hold on, Ash, let Mike finish, please.
This week, the president had a historic visit with the Prime Minister of Israel. They covered the mainstream media that you're defending, Ashley, spent more time worrying about what he tweeted about Ivanka's clothing line than that. How about the story that was reported that there was no collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians? Little blurb, they're worried about how he words a tweet. Ashley, you've been on the wrong side of this from day one. You're still on the wrong side of it.
Okay.
And I know you're in a bad place, but at the end of the day, he's not going to adjust for you.
I've not been bitter about it. I've admitted that I was wrong.
You don't
but
look
at the
bitter.
same time,
you look very
need to
beautiful,
realize that
Ashley,
I think
but we
it's
have
great
to go
that
to break.
conservative